Tonight, we're going to be talking about the Disney dining plan. It's coming back for 2024. Splash Mountain, the last domestic one, has closed now. We'll talk about that and what's next, all tonight on ParksCenter. Welcome, friends, to ParksCenter for June 4th, 2023. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. As always, please, thank you so much for being with us tonight. If you have not already, please subscribe to WDWNT TV and also give us a thumbs up as it helps people to find us. In a lot of cases, I will say we got a special show, but man, this is a special night for a lot of people on this show. And starting with, we've got the return of Allison from OG ParksCenter.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see everyone.
The return of Shannon from last week.
Yeah, Debbie was sick again, so the union sent me. Hey, everyone.
The union sent her.
Never not funny. And back off of injured reserve, Mr. Patrick Hackett.
I can sit in a chair.
So good, my friend. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Allison is back in popsicle mode, so thank goodness for that. So, remember when we used to do super chats so that Allison could get more popsicles? It was fantastic. So tonight we're going to start with a discussion about the Disney dining plan. It is back. And so what I want to do first of all is kind of get some individual thoughts from you guys, because I have my own individual thoughts about the Disney dining plan. And so I want to start with Patrick, who is never at a loss for having conversations. What are your thoughts on the Disney dining plan for you personally?
For me personally, it was the only way I could travel to Walt Disney World previously, before I had the DVC, because it provided cost certainty. We knew that almost all of our food was covered, most of our drinks were covered, and we were able to pay that off slowly instead of having to worry about paying for each and every meal. Now, as a DVC member, I've actually been looking forward to it ever coming back because I really want to try it. I've been running the numbers, and it seems like it would be a value for my family. I did it first very generically. I took a couple averages, and we wound up at about $400 without desserts and alcoholic beverages, which are now included, which is amazing. So it should equal out. But then I did it with what actual meals we might order, and it came to about $100 worth of value. And that, again, is before alcohol and the desserts from the counter services are included. I really think it could be a value. You have to do it smart. You have to be conscientious and understand that a large portion of your trip is going to be revolving around eating. And if that's what kind of vacation you want, I think it's a great idea. I love the dining plan. I like the cost certainty of it. And I like the ability to say, hey, I don't really want to think about how much I'm spending. I want to put that and pay it off. And then when I get there, it's all gravy, you know?
Yeah, I do know. I love all gravy, especially if it's included with my dining plan. So let me just say before we go any further that 2 of the 3 people on ParksCenter history that I've ever called bougie are both with us tonight. So let me start with Shannon and get your thoughts about this, especially since you come to the party with a different level of expectation when it comes to food.
Yeah, I actually do go to Disney a lot for the food, but surprisingly, I don't use the dining plan unless it's offered as, for free as part of a package. So back in the day, I don't know if anyone remembers this, part of the dining plan was every single person got an appetizer, an entree, a dessert, which is a lot of food. And at the time, we would use it, especially for signature restaurants. Some things that struck me odd about the dining plan that's rolling out now is that you have to use 2 credits for Be Our Guest. I'm sorry, Be Our Guest is not a signature restaurant, so please don't anyone use 2 credits on Be Our Guest. And then 2 quick serve, I believe it's 2 quick service meals for a pizza delivery, another ripoff. But anyway, the dining plan, not really for me personally, but to each their own. If it works out for your family like Patrick, go for it.
Okay. Allison?
I've never done this. Even back when it seemed like a much better value because you did get a lot more for the money. Like I still didn't do it then because I just wasn't going to get an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert at a signature restaurant. Like that's too much food, especially when I'm eating meals throughout the day. But I do like I don't like how rigid this is. That you have to get like an entree and a dessert. Like why wouldn't it be like two of three? Like there's some times where you may want an appetizer and you can't get it because this is what is pre-selected for you. And there's a lot that doesn't make sense about this, in just the rules that they've input. So there are a number of restaurants, not just Be Our Guest, that have two credits, table service credits, and one of
Mm-hmm.
them I noticed was actresses, because and that is roughly the same cost per person as the Crystal Palace. It may even be like $2 or $3 per person cheaper. But for some reason, that's two credits, but the Crystal Palace is one. Now, the Crystal Palace, which I think like no one should pay for, but like because for my family, like my husband and myself, my 4-year-old and my dad, is like a $300 meal, which is absolutely ridiculous. But if that's the same cost as eating and dining with the princesses in Norway, and I'm paying out of pocket, like that makes sense. But why is it on the dining plan that one is two credits and one and the Crystal Palace is one? It just it doesn't make any sense with the economy. The second thing is that I ran the inflation calculator on this because
Ooh.
this went away in 2020.
Yes.
It's a really fun tool online. I don't know if anyone's played with this, but you can like look and see how much Disney is now getting out of pocket, because how much was $78 that was what the adult version of the signature, not the non quick service one, cost back in 2020, versus what is that buying power now with inflation. And they're definitely making a couple of dollars more profit. So this to me is just like, here, let's just continue to pad the profits of Disney. It's not like huge and unconscionable like you see when you run the inflation calculator with ticket prices over the years. But it's still like, yeah, they're just like looking for uh, more for more profit.
What? That's crazy. Why would they do that? Um, so over the past couple weeks, we've been using this tool to have people vote in, and I would love to get some feedback from the chat tonight because, and again, hoping this works. But I don't have an affinity for the dining plan personally, so I want to hear from everybody else if like you're glad it's finally back, you don't use it or want it, or you don't really care. So I feel like there are different levels there. Some people might like really have something against it, and then some people might go, I don't care. So let us know in the chat, pound 1, 2, or 3 to let us know how you feel about it. But my own personal thought off the top is, especially with Disney these days, the house always wins.
Ah,
So if they have a deal, I mean, I'm saying like if they have a deal, then the deal is actually in their favor. It's got to be. And that has to be one of the things that they went back and retooled on this. So I really feel like they're winning on this at some point in some level, or else they wouldn't be doing it. So that's phase one, or thought one. The second thing is that for me personally, I know that people want to have an all-inclusive experience, and so if you go and have that all-inclusive experience, and you pay for it up front, maybe you're budgeting, and maybe that's why you're doing it, or maybe you just don't want to worry about it when you're there. That's what the Magic Band is for. That you can have that all-inclusive experience, and you don't have to worry about it. But maybe if you're paying, for it in advance, you don't want to like hit up all those incidentals. But there's still going to be some incidentals along the way that you have to do. So. Again, I feel like Disney wouldn't put this offer out unless they really thought it would work. So also, the poll doesn't seem to be working. So we'll figure that out and hit that back. But let me just go to Patrick again on this one, because again, for my family, if I'm going through and I'm walking through the park and I go, hey, I want that churro, let me pull out my chart and see. Is that
yeah.
is that a credit? Do I get a credit for that? Or also, have you used your credit? I'll use your credit, and then you can use my, like, it seems like am I overthinking it? Because you sounded like you thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think it does require some thought, and if you like planning, which I mean, come on, you're watching WWNT, I imagine you like planning your trip. It's a big part of it. Um, Making sure you maximize the value, but also not obsessing about it. Think about it. If you're like, hey, I could just burn this snack credit or this $5 bill for a churro, like that snack credit's already bought and paid for. You might as well use it. You never know. You don't want to end up with a suitcase full of Rice Krispie treats, which I've had happen before. I know Ron has a very, very strict Excel worksheet worked out where like even the meals were, where are you getting the most value? I went and did it what I would likely order, what my wife would likely order. I think it's really great, but I'm a little bit nervous. And Shannon, it's not 2 counter service for pickup pizza. It is 2 table service credits for pickup
no.
pizza. Oh no, there
Worse.
it is. It's 2 table service for pizza in the room. It is 2 quick service for pickup pizza, which please don't
They're making it work.
Yeah, don't do that. Some of the things that the 2 table services always seems a little bit weird for me. That's where you start to, I think, really lose value, and you shouldn't do that. But if you're like, hey, I don't want to spend my whole time thinking about every next meal, do a couple of the big table service, a couple of the character dinings, put those as your meals, and then, do counter service the rest of the way. There's a lot of ways to make it work in your favor. Like I said, the cost certainty was the biggest one for me previously. And now I think it's the not having the sticker shock at the end of vacation, because I do treat it like an all-inclusive, and I just magic band and, go from there. And sometimes that sticker shock could be pretty shocking at the end of a trip.
Yeah, I mean, again, I get that. And I think I've said this because she doesn't watch. I'm going to go ahead and say this about my wife. I think I used to say this, is that like at the end of the trip, you would get that bill put on the end of your, like on your door handle. So they would take the invoice for the entire trip, and with this little like elastic band, put it on your door handle. And I would race to make sure that I was the one to get there, just because I think she'd have a heart attack if she saw like the merchandise and the meal costs and all those things. So I do get trying to, again, budget that stuff out from the beginning. But even if you do use table service, let's say, and the deal for that is $94. Is that right? $94 and some change a person per day. And there are a lot of stipulations to this. Just like everything else at Disney these days, there's a lot of fine print. You can't do it until January 9th of 2024. You have to be booking a hotel on grounds at Disney to be able to use it. So there are a lot of those little caveats. It's $94 for an adult, which is going to be the most expensive of the plans. There's only 2 plans now, which I think there was probably like some other tiers before, but there's only 2 plans, the quick service and the table service. But for the table service one, it's like $94. So then the next question is kind of like Allison was saying, and I think Shannon as well, is the idea of like, what if you don't want that extra thing? Like, what if you just drink water and you're not interested in the alcohol, and like now, a beverage costs like $4 and something. So, that you're not getting that. And then the snack credit too. Maybe you don't snack, or maybe you bring your own snacks. Like, there's just so many levels of that I think are a problem when it comes to this plan. And I, again, would rather not feel tied down. I'd rather feel like I can go into the park and buy anything I want, whenever I want, and not worry about how many credits I have left. The other thing that's happened in the past is the credit thing. You've got too many credits and it's the last day, so you buy 9 Mickey bars because you've got to use them all up, and you're like, hey folks, we paid for this, let's use it. Speaking of things that were paid for, we have somebody looking to help Allison out with her popsicle addiction. So Jungle Cruiser, Allison, here's some cash for more popsicles. However, could you please switch to Mickey Premium bars? Also, we need a dining plan at Disneyland Resort. So thank you as always, Jungle Cruiser. We appreciate you. And Allison, switch to premium bars. That's really the big takeaway from all this.
I try to keep them for the parks, but you know what?
Yeah.
For the Super Chat next time, I'll get them.
So Shannon, before that, I said a lot. Any of that you agree with or disagree with?
No, I think for me it's similar to Allison, where there is so much food, and like you said, sure, you go into it planning to have a quick service a day and a snack a day and a table service, but sometimes your day doesn't go that way. We feel that with all things at Disney, right? We want to go on a certain attraction, it goes down. You want to do something, you want to go to a water park and it storms. Like for me, I just simply can't eat that much food anymore and I feel forced into it. I could see where it may benefit people who like to really, really plan and stick to a plan. But if I want a food, if I want a snack, and that snack is not a credit, is not available to be used as a credit, I'm getting that snack anyway because nothing's going to stop me. And now I'm just going to have to waste that credit on like a Rice Krispie treat. Whatever.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
All right, Allison, back to you.
I think if you're gonna do it like Patrick, where he's like running the numbers ahead of time of how this is gonna make sense for his family, because I think for most people they're not doing that. And if you're budget conscious, then it's probably a whole lot better to like look ahead of time at where you want to eat and what you want to order at those places, add that up and know exactly how much you want to save and spend on dining, rather than the situation. I love the term you used, Rob, but that like the house always wins, because like that's the way it's really designed. It shouldn't be something that actually takes the thought out of it for you and you don't have to think about it. Instead, it should be something where you're like gaming it out and how to make use of it. And it sort of reminds me of like when MoviePass was a thing. Like I was going to make the most of that. I was going to go to the movies like 3 or 4 times a week because it was all included. And I think that like that's what you should do with this. You game it out. And it's what my in-laws do when they go to a buffet. They don't fill up on like rice. They go to the high value things like the shellfish, like whatever that would be that are more expensive on their own to make it actually worth it. And that's what you should do for your family if this is what you're doing and clearly what Patrick's doing.
Yeah.
Rob, I have one more thing to add.
Sure.
I think there are hacks too that a lot of people use. For example, going to Costco or going to Target and buying gift cards where you can get like that 5% discount for Target. For me personally, I use my Visa to accumulate dollars that I then put onto essentially a gift card, and that's what I use like for my food. So it's another workaround.
But here's the other thing. Again, at the end of the meal, if you're doing table service, you have to do tip. That is extra.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to do that anyway. If you buy more than
Disney
one
pays
drink,
everyone so well.
Not the topic, my friend. The second thing is, Patrick, you can only get one drink on that. I mean, when have you ever? So, no, I'm just kidding.
How dare you, sir?
So, but again, I mean, so that's the second thing is you're probably going to incur more cost, especially if there are like other little things you're going to add along the way. So you're not going to usually get out of that table service with no cost. And then again, if you've done what Shannon was talking about and traded in 2 credits for Be Our Guest, which whether you think it's 2 credits or not, they think it's 2 credits. So therefore, they believe it's signature dining. If you're doing that, then you're going to have to pay for a meal somewhere else anyway. So again, to me, I get the people who go, hey, this is better for me because I can justify doing a character breakfast. But at the same time, if I have an annual pass and that gets me 10% off the meal or more, no, I can't do that because you're not getting that with that. So I feel like there are a lot of little things that cause a problem. But again, the poll is working now. Thank you to Jake. I now owe him 3 snack credits because I have to, because he fixed this for me in the background while this was going on. So again, please let us know, vote, tell us if like this is most important. And again, if this is a big deal to you, I don't mean to diminish that at all, because a lot of people have been waiting for this. It has not been back since COVID. It was one of those things that, again, talking about like the house always wins. I feel like at some point,
I didn't think it was coming back.
Maybe they felt like it didn't have that value to them anymore, and now they've figured out a way to retool it. But again, let us know. Patrick, what else you got, buddy?
Tables in Wonderland. Come on, let's go. Tables in Wonderland. That's what we really need. That's what we need. Let's get Tables in Wonderland back here. That helps everyone. It gets 18% automatic gratuity while I'm saving 20% on my meal. Come on, Tables in Wonderland. Didn't think dining plan was ever coming back. Let's bring tables back. And let's get rid of reservations too. Not for restaurants, but for the parks. I mean, it's clear that you have space now. So, like, it's...
So speaking of that, all of this came down at the same time. It was May 8th, and it was 5 updates to make your visit easier. And so they're saying one is removing theme park reservation requirements for date-based tickets, introducing good to go for annual pass holders and cast members, back to the reservations again. And then it says bringing back our fan favorite Disney dining plans. And then it says continuing to provide extended park time to Disney Resort Hotel guests, which we'll talk about later. And then simplifying the Disney Genie Plus experience, which I'm going to throw the flag and say that's not something they're looking to necessarily do. That will continue to be probably a dumpster fire. But back to the reservation thing, what I don't understand is if they can remove certain reservation issues, why can't they just take them all away? But that was kind of a like a soapbox that I went on last time. But all of this was announced at the same time because they knew these are the things that are really causing a problem for us as Disney fans. And I've said before, when you talk to people outside the fandom and you go, oh, by the way, you haven't been to Disney in 3 or 4 years, don't forget you need to make a park reservation. And oh, Fast Pass, that's gone now. They've renamed it Lightning Lane so they can charge you for it. But if you buy Genie Plus, which is like Max Pass Plus, it doesn't include the top level in every park. You've got to pay for that separate, but they're both called Lightning Lane. So don't let that fool you. And then also, if you get the Genie Plus, that's going to be $15 to $38 a day. But if you get Genie, that's free, but it's only going to send you to the film festival at the Journey into Imagination Pavilion, and that's about it.
Pinocchio Village House. It will send you to Pinocchio Village House all the time.
Don't forget to eat there.
You know, putting this all into perspective, if one day they were just like, hey, we messed up. Extra Magic Hours are back. Fast Pass Plus is back. We're rolling the machines. It would be the happiest day on earth. It was like, yeah, you know what? All those changes we made, we agree. Terrible. Bringing it back. I saw it. I don't remember if it was a TikTok or a reel. It could have been a Vine at this point in time. I have no idea what social media I'm even on. But somebody showed a commercial from 7 years ago. Yeah, 7. At Walt Disney World, and all the free stuff that they were bragging about giving you, the extra magic hours, the fast passes, the 3 reservations, and all that. And it's just like, the house doesn't always win. The house is just dominating. And I think if we start to see reservations and hotel occupancy dip down, maybe then, you know, we'll see some of this come back. I'm sure we're going to talk more about that in a minute.
Yeah, so they got rid of Magical Express. You can't usually say this on this call without especially Shannon. But they got rid of Magical Express. They got rid of free Magic Bands. They got rid of the sending parcels back to your hotel room. All of those things that they went, oh, sorry, COVID, those are gone. But the Magical Express was before that. But all of these things are going away. And then they kindly said, you know what, because all these perks are going away, we're going to lower the price. Oh, they didn't say that? They said they're going to raise the price and still not give us these things? Oh, that's what they did. So, I mean, there's a lot of that's just so frustrating. By the way, just to circle back to what you said about Tables in Wonderland, and I almost said this out loud, but I see that Natalie asked the question in the chat, is that Tables in Wonderland was something that you could get, and it was a discount card that you could buy if you were an annual pass holder or a DVC member, and it allowed you to get better discounts at all of those restaurants. But also, there is a discount now. There's a 10%. It would take it to 20 in a lot of cases. So that was a good thing. Allison, I feel like you've got more thoughts.
About which? I've got a lot of thoughts. You're reading those, like, the 5 things to make your stay easier or whatever. And like several of those things are like, are things that they're already doing. They're not actually changes. Kind of amazing. But I think, like, you look at this and you're like, okay, the whole point is they're trying to drive people to book vacations in Disney. And what they don't want to do is lower the base price. And they know that dining plan is popular and people really like to do it. And they're hoping that drives people back to booking vacations. But I think that until they actually start delivering those, like, pretty massive hotel discounts like we've seen in the summer and hopefully we'll see again in the fall, that they're not going to actually see the increase in traffic. But I'm happy for the people who like the dining plan, and I hope that this is just like, step 1 of phasing all of the stuff back that Patrick just listed. And yeah, let's turn the clock back a little bit.
Well, and what you said about the 5 things to make your trip easier are 5 things they did in the past to make our trip harder. Like, reservations were not on there. That's like we had this road in Raleigh, North Carolina, where it was down the main street toward the state capitol, and it was called Fayetteville Street, and they closed it in to make it like a mall. And then they were like, look at us, we made this mall. And then every business went out of business. Nobody came. And then they opened it up again and they said, look, we opened this road. You mean the one you closed before? You've now opened it and you're taking like a little lap, like a victory lap. That's kind of what Disney's doing here, is they're taking a victory lap and saying, hey, you know what? We're giving you these things because we're really nice. But they're actually trying to put back into place a lot of the things that we as guests have been complaining about for a while. So, but look at the poll. So one of the things that surprises me is I thought I was going to be in the minority about the dining plans. So the fact that all of you guys are kind of like, well, we've done the numbers, we've crunched the numbers, it doesn't really work out for us. And then looking at it here, you know, a lot of people like to budget and plan, and and that's a great thing. I wish I had that, but instead I buy popcorn buckets. So then on top of that, you've got, you know, you can hold yourself to that. Then you know how much your trip's going to cost. And when you get through it, you've already paid for it. That's great. I just still think that, you know, if it was too much of a benefit, Disney wouldn't be doing it. But let me go back around the horn and get some final thoughts on this, because I think we've talked about everything we need to talk about. But I'll start with Shannon, since we've left you alone for a little while. Just final thoughts on the dining plan in general.
Take it or leave it. I leave it, and I'm all for bringing back the 180-day window for dining reservations.
Amen.
Okay.
It's ridiculous, but I loved it.
Man, you know what? Bring that back, and bring back, if you're gonna charge me for Genie Plus, like, let me book my rides that far in advance. I forgot how much I really appreciated that, and the certainty that gave me on vacation. I think the biggest value, and I don't know if we'll ever see it again, is the free dining plan to encourage people to come in the off times, which are there really any off times anymore? If you're going to use the dining plan, think about it, strategize. I mean, it's 2023. You should be able to make an Excel worksheet. I'm an idiot. I was able to do it. I even put some formulas in there, and make it worth your while, but don't make it, if it's a huge part of your vacation, it's going to stress you out. Just enjoy your vacation. For me, I know I'm going to come back, and I know that if I can make the most of this and have some cost certainty, I'm going to do it.
Very cool. And Allison?
Thank you.
Not for me, but I'm glad that there's a sign that Disney is a little bit desperate, because like a year ago, it felt like they could do anything and people were still coming. And so now there's a little bit of, I think it shows a little bit of nerves, and also is helping people who really do enjoy buying it. So yeah, but again, not for me, and strategize, please, if you're going to purchase it.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, and thank you guys for weighing in on that. For those of you at home who watched or weighed in on the poll, we appreciate you letting us know. And then for you guys on the panel, thanks for letting me know that. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to come right back, and we're going to talk about all the latest in parks news. So we appreciate you being with us. Don't go anywhere, and we will be right back.
Welcome to Deep in the Plus. Each week, join host Rob Whiteside as he and a panel of Disney superfans take a different movie or TV show from the Disney Plus catalog. They'll tell you its history, details, and give their review, so you'll know if it's worth your time. Current shows, classic movies, and everything in between. Watch Deep in the Plus live Wednesday nights at 9 Eastern for new episodes, or catch Deep in the Plus anytime on YouTube on WDWNT TV.
This program is brought to you by WIGS, the WDWNT Inner Globe Society. Support WDWNT to get early and exclusive access to content you can't find anywhere else, including exclusive post shows for WDW News Tonight and ParksCenter, access to our prize wall, a monthly Zoom with Tom, access to our Discord community, early access to our events, and much more, starting at just $2 per month. For more information, visit patreon.com/WDWNT or visit WDWNT.com and click the Patreon link. Join Wiggs and unlock even more WDWNT.
Welcome back to ParksCenter. Again, I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys for being with us. Don't forget to give this video a like. And also, as we talked about, Deep in the Plus, this week, Mr. Patrick Hackett is going to be coming back to Deep to talk about Ferdinand, because he says if it's got a wrestler in it, he gets to talk about it. That's basically how that works, I guess. So, and then, of course, here, Care Bear calling me out in chat saying, oh, let's hear about all the other shows that Rob Whiteside does on this network. And I'm like, I learned it from Tom. Listen to him every now and then. It's good. Thank you guys for being with us, and also to our Wigs members. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We're going to get back to the park news that we call Around the Hub TM Patrick Hackett. And the Disney news this week, there was a lot of talk and a lot of sadness since the last time we met as a group. The last domestic Splash Mountain has now officially closed. So there was a lot of stuff that happened, in general, but I wanted to lead off with this because it was around for 40 years. Now, the one in, I still don't get this part. Both of these are going to be turned into Tiana's Bayou Adventure. The one in Florida closed in January, and then the one in Disneyland closes in May. I'm not really sure I get that. But Patrick, did you get a chance to ride this when you were out in Disneyland?
No, I rode very few things when I was out in Disneyland, because I can finally say I was out in California to appear on a game show. And so my time at the parks was incredibly limited. And I was like, I don't really want to do Splash. I did a few things that were important to me. This is really sad. It's one of the greatest attractions ever built, and you're not going to catch me saying something that it shouldn't be gone. It should be. The great news that came out of all this, Rob, is there's going to be animatronics added to the attraction and new original characters. There's so much to be excited about this. I have no idea what the time difference was between Walt Disney World and Disneyland, what their thought process is there, but they went to work on both immediately. And so there's some hope, and we're going to talk about a little bit later on about some construction delays. There's some hope that this is going to be quick and hopefully quality. I want more animatronics. I want less screens, and I want this to feel like an authentic Disney attraction.
Yeah, and I think we've all said, and I know that Tom said it on News Today, is that we want to make sure that if a park attraction, especially a beloved park attraction, closes, we want something that opens up in its place to be better. I mean, if it's something that was built 40 years ago, we should have better technology to make things even better these days. Not cheaper. That's not what we said. We said better. And I think that's where animatronics come in. And I think that's been our concern all along, is were they going to plus this out and, treat this right with bringing Tiana on. Again, I'm all for, like, if it offended people, let's change it. And let's make it better, though. That's the trick, is let's make it better. Allison, thoughts?
Sure. Rob, it's closer to 30 years. Let's not age us all more than it was there. But I was the Splash in Walt Disney World was like my favorite ride in the Magic Kingdom. I was really sad that it's going, but yeah, of course, it needs to. It's fine. I'm fine with the change, but I don't have the same kind of sadness with this one closing. I've been on it. It didn't have the same kind of magic for me. It didn't, and I think I feel the same way. Like Tower of Terror in Disneyland. It's not as sad for that to have been changed, because it wasn't as good as the one in Walt Disney World. So plus, if you really want to ride it, go to Tokyo, and there's going to be the original Walt Disney World version, but it's going to also be really well maintained. So go ride it there if you want to ride it. And now we know, my big fear was okay, one of the most special things about this ride is that it is an animatronic tour de force. And I just wanted to make sure that that stayed. So many of those animatronics are so old and they were made so well and they still look so good. And now we know that they're probably going to be there plus more, and they're going to be using newer technology to create those animatronics. I know my daughter's going to love it. Princess and the Frog is one of her favorite movies, and when she met Tiana on our last trip, she said, I'm from New Orleans too, and they talked about beignets, and it was adorable. So she has like a real connection to the property. And then lastly, in Disneyland, it even makes more sense because it's like next to New Orleans Square, so like thematically it makes sense. So yeah, we're moving toward some bigger and brighter future, I guess.
There's a Great Big Beautiful tomorrow.
Yes, shining at the end of every route.
Yes, there is a Great Big Beautiful tomorrow. So I was gonna say, I get it. So it was 1989 that the one in Disneyland opened up. So it hasn't been 40 years, but the one in Disney World was 1992. And again, they've been around a while, and it's, it would be great to see them improve, especially the flume on the one in Disneyland, because I rode that one with Tom, and it needs work. So let me go back to so it's closed, and I know, and I can't remember, Shannon, if you told the story last week about, did you?
I don't think I did. I think it was the post show.
Okay, so at least tell that story about how you went out there and tried to have one last splash.
I did. Well, it was a first and last splash because I had never been on the Disneyland version, and I waited in line for over 90 minutes, and I still wasn't even really near the load area when it went down. And they literally took the ropes away, and they said everyone's just got to get out of line. And I was very upset.
Oh.
People behind me were upset. We asked the cast members if we could have something like a Lightning Lane return time. They said no. So I went to guest services in the front of Main Street, and they also said no. And I felt like I was that person saying, like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime trip for me. I don't ever come here. Like, please, I have very limited time to go on this ride. And because I'm sure they hear it a million times a day. So it was very disappointing, and I never got to experience it. But.
Well, there you go. Now you're going to have to make a trip out once Tiana's opens up. So the very next day, they just released a bunch of information, and clearly it was to try to offset, hey, this is closed. Let's look at a brighter tomorrow. Let's look at the next thing, because Disney's spin machine is so good at that. Hey, this horrible thing happened. Let's tell you about a great thing. And this isn't horrible, but you get what I'm saying, is like they try to put that spin on it and say, hey, let's get you excited about this, rather than saying, oh, I wish Splash Mountain was still open. And one of the things, Patrick, you were talking about was original characters. And the one that cracks me up is Ralphie. Like, this is Prince Naveen's little brother. I'm sorry, Naveen, and his little brother's name is Ralphie? I don't know. That's just kind of bizarre to me. But
isn't he in
apparently
the movie?
Ralphie, is he? They said he was
Doesn't
an
he
original
dance
character.
with Charlotte at the end?
I don't know.
It's a
don't
real
know.
creepy
Allison-
moment where she asks
Yeah.
how old he's gonna. Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know
I
if his name
remember
was
what you're talking
Ralphie
about now.
then. Yeah.
Well, but also they've already put up this this photo spot. So if you don't get to ride again, Shannon, you can come by, and there's a photo spot for you
Cool.
now, where you can take a picture as if you're pretending that you can play the drums, or are carrying a parasol or a tambourine. Like, you could mix it up. You could do 4 different pictures and splice them together, and it could be like an Abbey Road thing for you. That'd be exciting. I think the next thing is, I'm trying to figure out, like, this is the stuff they shared was very exciting versus the stuff they shared at D23. D23, they were like, we've got a new smoke effect, like a mist effect. That was basically the only thing they told us. And then they brought out a marching band and played some songs, and they were like, that's it. With this one, again, the animatronics telling us there's 17 new animatronic characters. That's great. I'm excited about seeing what this looks like. Now at this point, it's just a matter of, we know it's 2024. The next question is, when in 2024 are we going to be able to see this? Before we move on from this one, Allison, any other thoughts on this one? No?
No, I'm just excited, and my daughter does keep asking like when the Tiana ride's gonna open. So
Same.
it's literally like 25% of her lifetime away, probably, but it's like a while. But but it's happening. She's excited.
he is Prince Ralphie in the film, so they didn't create that just for this. Also, my daughter insists that Dr. Facilier needs to die in this attraction, and the amount of times that she says it and is so certain about it is upsetting.
But I thought he was already gone.
Listen. They need to make her happy, because if not, no one will be happy.
So we need to see an official death scene. Maybe he escapes.
He gotta go.
And then
even if I
dead.
just take like an action figure and throw him over as I'm going, it might help. I don't know.
I've had a lot of questions about that scene too, Patrick. I usually just say, "Oh, he's going back where he belongs."
All right, so let's move on. This is a segment that we've been working on, that we talk about, called From the Parks, and it was basically like the rap sheet because of all of the crazy stories that we had, but now From the Parks because there are a lot of bizarre stories that happen in the park. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all three of them, and each of you individually get to pick which one you want to talk about. You can talk about the same one if that's the case, but I feel like I really at least need to go through them all. So this one is a cast member and California woman, which I don't really know why that's necessary, battle over seating aboard Magic Kingdom's People Mover attraction. This one is guest jumps out of Splash Mountain log at Disneyland during panic attack. And then this one was actually from a while ago and I somehow missed it, but this title is just amazing. Drunken guest lays in rain, swings stanchion, and throws table at cast member before trying to escape through backstage area at Epcot. Like, that's a novel in that headline right there. So I feel like there's a lot of different things. Patrick, I'm ladies first, so usually, but tonight it's Patrick. So Patrick, you get to go first.
You're too good to me.
I know. I mean, I see you.
We talked about this. So I am going to talk about the panic attack because we have a little thing in our Wigs Scored. By the way, if you didn't see the commercial, you should join our Wigs. And we have a counter, and we're like, does this reset the counter? And the counter just kind of takes bad guest behavior. This isn't bad guest behavior. This is a really unfortunate incident and should call to attention, the significant mental health issues we have in this country, and people just can't take it sometimes. That being said, it is never safe to jump off an attraction at Walt Disney World. Things aren't always as you see them, or Disneyland. But I can totally empathize with that person because I'll tell you a quick story, and those of you who have been with the network in a long time have probably heard this before. Tom and I and a couple other people took a trip to Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey, and we went on King to Ka, which is one of the tallest roller coasters in the world. And as we're going, I'm a little bit nervous, and Tom says, "Hey, Patrick, just don't read that sign." I'm like, what does that sign say? And it says, roller coaster is safely designed to roll back to the start if it does not make it all the way to the top. And let me tell you, if I could have gotten out of that harness once I was in it, I probably would have bailed. It was so scary. But hopefully, if you're in the parks, you know that there's some places that you can do some sensory work, and Disney's getting much better about that. I was actually just at a zoo in Connecticut, and they have a lot of sensory areas too. So take care of yourself while you're in the parks.
Okay. I don't disagree on that. The thing that struck me as funny was that the person who was filming this was and I've got way too much volume here, but the person was saying this as they noticed that the person was out, the person yelled out loud, "Can you do that?" Like,
yeah.
You're not supposed to. But again, she was just like, they just said, like, looked at her, and she said, I can't, I'm having a panic attack. And she walked down some emergency stairs. So she found a place and she jumped out where she thought that was okay to do. I don't know what else you would do though. Honestly, like, if that was a thing, that's way at the beginning of this attraction. If she was suffering, like, the idea of getting to the end of that sounds horrible. So anyway, that's an interesting one. Let's go to Allison. Which one do you think you'd like to talk about?
I'll talk about the People Mover, mostly because the story doesn't make full sense to me from, like, my experience in the criminal justice system. But it may be like the least exciting with regard to, like, what's actually happening, the action here. But it certainly caught my attention. So this is a situation where, like, a cast member sounds like disrespected by some people she was trying to guide into a separate car, but their family was in one car and there might not have been enough space, and then the woman sort of like pushed past her and made physical contact with the cast member, and the cast member paused the ride and then got a supervisor to come over. But then they sent law enforcement to investigate this and to figure out what was going on. And like it's reported in the article that because there was no video footage of the physical contact, which by the way, I find really hard to believe that there's any like load area in Disney where there's not like continuous surveillance. And because there were no witnesses, which is also really hard to believe because there's usually at least another cast member on the like on the walkway going up or something, or other guests. That they said hearsay in the article, which is wrong. This is not what hearsay is. I think what they mean is like he said, she said, or she said in this particular context. And then the law enforcement was like, well, this isn't really a battery because no one was really hurt. But it sure could still be an assault where the cast member was put in some kind of reasonable fear for her safety. So charges absolutely could have been brought, but for whatever reason, the person making this decision was the law enforcement officer, and it was never actually escalated to a prosecutor, who, by the way, a lawyer should be making ultimately the decision about whether charges should be brought. But I think, like, to me, the takeaway for this is, like, a lot of cast members are often in this situation where people can be really aggressive and you're not really sure where this is going to go. And please take care of cast members and be nice to them because they're there for hours and they're dealing with like the craziest of people all day long in the hot sun, especially as we get into the warmer summer months.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, I love that the part that bothers you the most is the legal hearsay. If I still had the Allison's legal corner, I would have thrown that up there. But so Shannon, it's up to you. What you want to talk about? One of these two, or would you like to go what's behind door number 3?
I mean, as much as I'd love to talk about swimming in puddles in Epcot and flying stanchions, I was actually going to go with the panic attack one as well, because I did see that video prior to even knowing we were talking about it tonight. And for anyone who hasn't seen it, it genuinely looks like someone who was having an anxiety attack. It didn't seem like some ploy for TikTok. And it reminded me of an incident I had in Disneyland two or 3 weeks ago, where I was riding Indy for the first time, and there was a younger man in the row with me. He was seemingly by himself, and I don't want to make assumptions because I really don't know him or his situation, whatever. He kind of seemed like he may have been bugging out in a way, and I was genuinely concerned that he was going to try to get out of the ride. Like he's looking and he's like but he's like kind of excited, but also in a way that I felt like he was freaking out a little bit. So all that to say is, like, I feel like it may actually happen more. Someone just happened to be in the log behind her and was already filming the ride when it happened. Please don't do that. Anxiety is real, and I get it. But it is dangerous to leave those rides. But not everything you see on the internet is fake, and sometimes people have legitimate problems. So
yeah, I certainly didn't think it was fake either. I mean, she looked like she was definitely having a problem. And someone in chat, CK Barry, said it sounded like claustrophobia. Right there at the beginning, I mean it could be a panic attack based on claustrophobia for that matter. But those logs are the single rider logs that they have. They're not the double rider logs, and when you get in there, you are kind of jammed in those logs. So I can imagine like there being some sort of a problem there. Maybe some of her friends said, hey, you got to ride this before it's gone, and so she agreed to go along with it. But hopefully she's okay. But it's again, it's not safe to just decide to jump out of a log when that goes along. I think hopefully they're going to have some more safety features once this goes into Tiana's Bayou Adventure, but we'll see. The next thing we're moving on to is that there's a private jet that is going to take you. Look at the smile on Shannon's face already. There's a private jet that's going to take you from Adventures by Disney to every theme park in 2024, and it's only $114,995. I mean, my first question would be, if it's $114,995, usually you say something is like and 99 cents to make it sound cheaper. Are we really making it sound that much cheaper to save that $5 off the end? I don't know. But I again, bougie people. I assume you guys are like ready to make your reservation. And Shannon, there are only 75 seats available. So I mean, how many people are you going to be taking on this little adventure when you go?
Me, myself, and I. That's all that's in the budget. But all jokes aside, if you're new here, I was not Team Star Cruiser. I thought it was ridiculous. As someone who I could go on it if I wanted to, I never felt that in any realm it was worth the money. I honestly, 115 grand is a lot of money that I don't have. I think it's worth it for what you get. I don't think Adventures by Disney is talked enough about on really any blog site or even YouTube videos that I've seen. I've been on 2 Adventures by Disney trips, and they still embrace what is Disney customer service. They are incredible experiences. And what I realized was last year was the first time they were doing this. It was offered for 110 grand, but there was a little less. This year they upped the ante. So they did up the price. What's 5 grand when we're talking 6 figures? But they added a stop to the Walt Disney Museum in San Francisco. They added tours to the Disney studios that I don't believe they had before. I think going to Skywalker Ranch as well, if I'm not mistaken. And then you do get to see other non-Disney things, the Taj Mahal, the pyramids, on a private 757. When you think about 115 grand is a ton of money, but for what you're getting and in the realm of Disney, I mean, there's probably a lot of us who have spent that much money on Disney trips, let's be honest, in over our lifetime. So I think it's worth it, and it's incredible for anyone who can afford to go on it.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and do the math for you. You could go on this alone, or you and your husband can go on the Star Cruiser 23 times. So, I mean, what's it going to be?
Or we can get 3 Disney vacation clubs or 4 Disney vacation clubs? I guess depends on the points you buy.
Yeah.
This is also like 26 days, Rob. Like the Star Cruiser is 4.
I was kidding. I really didn't think that they were equal things, but
we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this math, Rob.
Go. It's your turn.
No, I need a calculator. Give me time.
All right, we'll go to Patrick. Patrick, how many of these are you booking for you and your family?
So if any other game shows would like to book me, it is hack03@gmail.com. You can get in touch with me that way. I can do whatever game show you want, not going to be great on Survivor, kind of afraid of snakes. By kind of, I mean severely. This sounds amazing. And knowing how much a private flight costs, that's such a huge part of that. And you're getting 69 meals. I didn't run the numbers on this because this is not something I could do with myself and my wife and my child. This would be almost a $500,000 trip. But, I mean, it doesn't seem outside the realm of possibility. It seems like there might be some value there.
Yeah, and I don't mean to put it down from that standpoint. It is a lot of money, but it is one of those things that, Shannon, you talked about all the things you can do. A lot of these are exclusive things that I would love to do. I would love to go to Skywalker Ranch. I would love to go to San Francisco and go to the Walt Disney Family Museum. I've talked to a friend of mine about going there, and that would be a great way to log it in and do it. But here also, I don't know that I'll ever go to Hong Kong Disney or if I'll ever go to Shanghai, and this would allow me to do that. But also, when we're talking about this trip, it's not just like, it's 69 meals. It's the Grand Californian. It's, all these different things are kind of awesome. And it's limited to 75 people. And last year, I know you said it was a bargain last year, 112? But last year,
yeah.
it's sold out to, the Golden Oaks folks and people like that before it ever got to the public on sale, which is, Patrick, put it on your calendar. It's June 14th. So if you can hit prices right before then or something else, you might be able to pull this off. Or
and go on the wall and be extremely disappointed.
Yeah, true. Allison,
What's really surprising to me,
we'll come back to you now.
What's really surprising to me about this is that I feel like the people who could afford this without really thinking about it and also have the time to spend, because a lot of people who have this money don't have a month to take for a vacation. it is that I'm surprised that these people want to go on group tours, like and be with 74 other people. But I think actually that's part of the draw is that you get to do this sort of exclusive experience with people who also love Disney as much as you do, and you're getting to do that together. I think that's why I haven't done Adventures by Disney. I've like considered it a few times, but I think that's like one of the main draws because even if you could do something akin to this on your own for less money or even close to it, it's just like not as special as like getting to meet other people who care about it in the same way.
I will say to that, Allison, going on those trips, I'm relatively antisocial and I like doing my own thing too. The people that I met on those trips, I mean, I keep in touch with some of them to this day, incredible people. And you do get a good balance of time with the group and time on your own to explore. So I'm all about Adventures by Disney. You can talk about it for days. Tweet me.
Adventures by Disney news today. I'm Shannon, and here's the latest. So one of the things, though, that we talked about with Star Cruiser too was like, you know, Desi saying, hey, she was getting a couple other people to go, and the thought process of if it's like, you know, a $6,000 trip, and yet you've got to bunk up like you're at a youth hostel, that doesn't quite, you know, that doesn't quite work. But I get what you're saying with this one, Shannon, that you would meet some very, very interesting people on something like this. So. And as I spoke her name, she came into existence, and Disney is Disney Desi is in the chat. So all you got to do is say her name, and she just shows up.
Sticker on it.
Yes, absolutely. Let's move on to the next one. As we were all sitting here dreaming of this trip, the next thing is we're going to talk about the Lake Nona property. So if you guys have been following the drama that is the DeSantis v. Disney drama, they're not going to be bringing all of their Imagineers to Lake Nona anymore, which to me the biggest loss here is all the people who they said you got to move or you got to leave, and they were like, I'm out of here. So we lost some good people, I think, from that. But now they have this Lake Nona property, this 60 acres that they purchased to build this Imagineering campus, and it's just they've got to build something on it before 2028. I'm going to throw this one to you, Allison, because I feel like I hope you have some kind of an answer. My initial go-to is it's not big enough for a theme park, but it is big enough for 2 volcano bays. So maybe we could do a water park over there?
Oh, my instant thought is affordable housing for cast members. I know they say that they're like investing in this in Florida, but like they need it so badly in Central Florida, and Disney needs it to keep their like workforce. So like it seems like a no-brainer to me, but I guess that's not on the table because they have not announced that.
Now I feel like an ass because I go, we should build a water park there, and you're like, we should have affordable housing for cast members. Is it too late to take your answer? I kind of want to do that. Patrick, say something philanthropic.
I'm looking at the map and I'm like, what? This is not near anything worthwhile to be park related. And even I think if it's housing for cast members, it's not a great commute. It's out by the airport. You know, I think they should just make someone buy it back. I got nothing.
Okay.
No one's buying that back out there. And so many of those cast members are traveling super far.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. Shannon, I'm going to throw this to you, and I've got an idea starter for you. What about some sort of a space-themed, inclusive 2-night, 3-day Star Wars experience?
Oh my gosh. I think it's a brilliant idea. I don't know what they're waiting for. Golden opportunity. I'd pay for it.
Do you have any other thoughts, though?
No.
Okay.
Maybe
All right.
make it a Disney World's private airport that Walt Disney always wanted. You're right there, right?
Yeah.
Yo.
Well, bless you just got rid of Crossroads, so maybe take everything that was at Crossroads and pick it up and move it there so that we still have some of those amenities that used to be at Crossroads. But I don't know if Disney will build anything on this, but they've got to do it before 2028 if they're going to do that. Let's move on to the next one. Is that some hotels are going to lose their perks, and I really had to dig into this because when I looked at I'm going to go ahead and say sort of clickbaity title on this rag that I read called WDWNT.com. It said Disney limiting early entry benefits at some hotels through the end of 2023 at Walt Disney World. So the first thing I'm like, the value resorts probably, and also, maybe the, Fort Wilderness. No, that's actually not what we're talking about here. We're talking about some of the good neighbor hotels that they have. So that includes the B Resort over at, I believe most of these are over at the Hotel Drive over there by Disney Springs. But the B Resort, the Hilton Orlando Bonnet Creek, which I guess is back in Bonnet Creek, the Waldorf Astoria Orlando, and the Drury Plaza Hotel, which I just literally just opened, I believe. So that's kind of a bummer. I don't know. I usually, if I'm staying on grounds, I am okay with the fact that they give people who are staying in Disney properties Disney perks, so if you're staying off grounds and to save some money, that's great. Love that. But also, if I'm spending that premium dollar, Shannon, to stay in a Disney at a Disney owned property, I sort of feel like maybe I should get something different, or do you disagree?
No, I agree. I am surprised that all these resorts get these perks. It surprised me when I stayed at Swan and Dolphin and they had that. Although I think Swan and Dolphin, it's on Disney property, and even though it's not Disney owned, it's kind of looped in there, and they are still on the list, so that's good. But these other hotels that are off property or right on the verge of property, I don't know. They don't get Disney transportation, right? So why give them early entry?
Oh, I didn't tell you. They all get Magical Express for free.
Oh my gosh.
Allison, you were on when Ben and I used to fight over the fact I bought DVC from Disney. He bought it secondhand, like the aftermarket points, and he would always argue that he should get the same benefits. And I was like, dude, brother, I paid so much more. And it's like, he's like, it doesn't matter. The points are points. So I don't know how you feel about this one.
Well, for me, it's like Swan and Dolphin and Shades of Green, I think should get the same benefit. But I don't have like a strong opinion about this. I have known, like, anecdotally, several families that I'm friends with who have chosen to stay at B Resort or at the Waldorf Astoria. And recently I had a family that I knew stay at Drury this past March and chosen those places over Disney hotels because they felt like they got a lot more for their money and they were still getting the same benefits. So they didn't feel the need to stay on property. So I think this is probably like another sign that Disney's trying to incentivize people to book their specific hotels. But I don't have like a strong opinion. It doesn't feel like an injustice if they get rid of it, so long as there's notice to the people who have booked there thinking that this is the benefit. But yeah, I as long as they keep it for Swan and Dolphin and Shades of Green, like, that's fine with me.
Yeah, we'll make a call. We'll make sure that stays that way. I think this is, everybody who's booked already, this is all good through the end of 2023. So anybody who has something from here to there, you should be okay. Patrick, any thoughts on this one before we move on?
No, they shouldn't have that. That's for us. My friend was like, I don't get all these things that I would get if I was at a Disney resort. I'm like, yeah, sucks for you. Just stay at the resort if you don't want to. You're staying at a Waldorf Astoria. You have enough. Also, Waldorf Astoria, you can call me. I'll stay there. I'll stop all this trash talking. Just one little call.
Wow. You just you did not expect that, my friend. You're just like, they shouldn't have that. Of course not. That's preposterous. Speaking of the haves and have-nots, the people who have a pass now, an annual pass holder like Mr. Patrick Hackett, now get all of these VIP pass holder, is that how you pronounce it? Benefits that they weren't really getting before. Because again, I've said this before, Magic Key always seemed like they got more out in California than we were getting on the East Coast. But now you got that Figment, #NotMyFigment magnet that people were lining up for. You've got, there he is again at this new pass holder area over at the Land and the food court, which also included Zarg nuts and a little sticker and some M&Ms, which again ain't nothing. I mean, that's not nothing. That's not nothing. That's what I meant to say. But then also 30% discount, which also includes Shop Disney, which is something that we've talked about before. And then they've got these pass holder exclusive treats. So there's a lot of neat little pass holder perks happening in the month of June. Now, Patrick, you're newly minted as a pass holder again. Are you going in June to get any of this, or are you just going to be able to take care of the Shop Disney discount?
Rob, I think you're aware of my personal situation at the moment.
Sure,
so none of that.
Yeah.
None of that. But yeah, no, pass holders deserve all this, and DVC people who are also pass holders deserve even more. I deserve these things when I go there. If not, I will throw a fit. I will make every cast member's life miserable, and I will just keep complaining and say, do you know who I am? I work for Tom Corliss. I am on a very popular show that gets hundreds of views, and I want my magnets. I want my Zarg nuts. Also, that's kind of messed up to not sell Zarg nuts to everyone. Like, just give everyone Zarg nuts. Zarg nuts for all. That's my new
Zarg nuts
hashtag.
for all.
Zarg nuts for all.
Forget the hashtag 6 feet forever. It's now hashtag
No, I need that
Zarg nuts for
still.
all.
I need also. Please stay away from me.
Just as a side note, please make sure not to make eye contact with Mr. Hackett. Shannon, here's another thing though that they've got is for the month they're saying, hey, we're not going to make you like you get these bonus park pass reservations for the entire month. But again, I mean, is that really a perk since they shouldn't be putting limits on us anyway?
Yeah, I mean the reservation system is ridiculous. We all know it's stupid and oh you get an extra day. Oh cool. Like it doesn't matter. No one cares. I think Michael mentioned this in the chat, but like it's funny that no one is getting fooled by the fact that these Zarg nuts were like the Spike the Beast work, where they're sitting in a warehouse. Like these have been sitting since what was it, D23? They're almost expired, and the M&Ms are almost expired. Happen to be the same M&Ms they gave out at the Halloween party last year. They're like, we're going to give these people some free thing, and they're not going to see what we're doing. It's like, we all know what you're doing. But anyway, all jokes aside, I think the perks are great. I think it's great that they're doing this. I also really appreciate that they give discounts for the festival booths for the food. So.
Yeah, I agree with that one. The 30% is amazing. The fact that it's on Shop Disney is great because, again, I'm not going to be able to get there in June to be able to get any of this. But also, if at the end of June I haven't got my magnet, go ahead and send it to me, Disney. Go ahead and drop it in an envelope. And you have my address. You just go ahead and send me that magnet. That would be great. Allison, anything you want to say before we wrap up this one?
Sure. This is not a new lounge. This is where you go when you want to like get some air conditioning and charge your phone anyway. There's like, as long as it's not like the lunchtime rush, there's always seating down there anyway. The wall's nice. It's fine. They put official charging stations there, so I'm not just like looking under the table where I can plug my phone in. That's also nice. Thanks for the intel, Shannon. I'm not going to partake in those M&Ms then.
No, the Zarg nuts were the New York Comic Con, so they weren't even a Disney
That's what
event.
It was. Okay.
Yeah, they bought them for New York Comic Con. Are you telling me you don't think that these are fresh Zarg nuts? That these are
they're stale.
That these are
for sure.
reused? I feel like they were probably stale when they started, so I'm not really sure there's much difference there. There is a moment in every episode of ParksCenter where we have Patrick Hackett on, where ParksCenter becomes Munchling Center, and here there are some new Munchling products to be seen. And he's like, stop grinning, dude. Here's all of these new Munchling products that Patrick is going to need. So, Patrick, tell me everything here. How excited are you about all this?
All right, so they keep calling them crossbody purses, but like that's the new trend, right? That like crossbody bag. Can I get that the poo cinnamon roll and wear it like a cross? I think that's a status symbol. I just want a big poo right across my chest. These Munchlings are amazing, and I'm glad they've caught on with more people because the Munchlings are moving every which way. I need a Munchling pot holder, without a doubt. Yeah, just walking through the parks, giant poo across my chest, just feeling myself, feeling fresh to death. I need more Munchlings, though. I've been trying to convince my wife to buy the Chippendale falafel because we're both very big falafel fans. No dice so far, but I did get these. These are amazing. Those are my new favorites. And I'm sad that more people have the Baymax s'more. I felt very superior to others, and I needed it.
Yeah. So, have you already gotten the? I'm sure they have these. Like, I have these Splash Mountain Wishables. Do you have the Munchlings for Splash? Oh, they didn't make those. Oh, I'm so sorry, dude.
Wishables are dumb.
That's crushing.
Yeah, you know what was really cool about Wishables is when we had someone on the network who could decide what wishables were in the package. I think we called it
Anyway.
What?
So, by the way, Allison has absolved herself from this conversation because she has zero interest in anything having to do with collecting garbage, I think was her quote on this one. So she wants nothing to do with this conversation. But let me ask you, Shannon, has our resident Munchling influencer convinced you that you have to have these things?
No, and you know what? I really wanted that Figment Fig Bar Munchling because they had it at the outlets, but it wasn't discounted enough. It was still like something outrageous, like $16, and I couldn't do it. I love the Wishables. I'm sorry. Munchlings don't do it for me.
I mean, don't be sorry, because like, what is Figment about this?
Look at it, it's so cute.
Oh,
Smells
my
like
God.
figs.
Speaking of hashtag
good.
not my Figment, oh my gosh, it's like,
It's so cute.
Yeah.
Shut your face.
Oh,
Shut your mouth when you
no,
talk to
sir.
me.
No, sir, I will not. This is heresy. I can't believe that you would be all about that. And you own Wishables. Don't even lie. You have some.
I do. They're fine.
Although I
They're
should have
not-
seen the writing on the wall when the ones that you got were the snack ones. Because you were like, oh, if only they could take stuffed things from the park and
That I
make them
can eat.
food, I would love this. This is going to marry together
I
perfectly.
will say, the one Munchling thing I do not like is when they make the Munchling into actual. I don't like that when it's real actual food.
Oh, real?
There's something,
Like real food that you
I
can
don't
eat?
like it. There's something off.
That I'd buy.
I don't want
'Cause
to
she
eat
can-
Donald Duck. Like, it's
Because-
weird.
Because you can eat it and move on and it doesn't take up shelf space for you?
It has a purpose. Like I'm hungry, I like the thing.
Don't eat Donald Duck.
Yikes. Well, you know what? That's a very impractical collection to have, my friend. You know what's practical? Popcorn buckets and sippers. That's really what we need to talk about here, because there is a lot going on in the world of popcorn buckets and sippers. You got this new sipper at Galaxy's Edge, the new Milk Orb sipper that's available at Disneyland and I believe also at Disney World. That one's actually the coolest one I think they've done with the milk stand. And then you've got the new tumbler, which is actually for Pride Month. And then you've got this one that they've got at
that
Disneyland.
Tumbler's so cool.
With the Pizza Planet sipper, and then you've got this boat. So here's the thing about the boat. They did the boat before, and it was like Jungle Cruise colors. And by the way, I could feel Allison's eyes burning a hole into all of this. It's just like, she's like, what the ever-loving heck is this all about? But this boat, like, this is one of those things, and I think we talked about it when Desi was on, and we were talking about like the Cinderella popcorn bucket that is really just kind of a rehash of the popcorn bucket that existed before her carriage, but it's like this platinum and purple for the 100 years. I don't feel compelled that I necessarily have to have this one, because I have the good one, the one that looks like the Jungle Cruise ship. And it also, I don't see it on here. I can't remember if they have it or not. They do. So this was what I thought was really cool about this, is that the smokestack on here is actually the spoon. So it goes in the top here. And then when it comes out the other side, I think you can only see it in this top picture here, as you can see that the spoon goes straight down
that's
in
awesome.
here. But it looks like the smokestack, right? Yeah.
I need that.
So, yeah. But I love that I have the original color ones. So I think, again, that Allison has recused herself from this conversation. So
Good legal term. Good job. Nice
yes,
work.
you like that? I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning. It's all hearsay.
Topical this week.
Yeah, Shannon, any of these look good to you or not?
I am with you. I like the original color of the Jungle Cruise boat. The 100 purple doesn't do it any. It's very weird and misplaced. So that's all I really have to say about it. I'm not running out to grab any of these, basically. I have Toady.
Yes, the ultimate popcorn bucket. Patrick?
My big problem is I don't need any more sippers, like, at all. And I like the big ones that are fun, but like your regular old tumblers, I need them to stop making those, because I have shelves full of them, and they're all nice. And then I get home and I have nowhere to put it, and I'm like, I don't actually need this. But man, that Pizza Planet sipper is great. I would love the Jungle Cruise boat. I'm a very big Jungle Cruise fan. I'm sad that I don't have the other one, but I try to have some restraint, unlike some other people on this panel at the moment when purchasing my sippers and buckets. The only thing that's cool about the milk one for Galaxy's Edge is it lights up, which I think is really nice, but it doesn't even fit a whole drink in there. I know, blasphemy, Rob, you can't actually put something in there, but it didn't seem really functional. It didn't seem very Star Wars-y to me either.
I got to tell you, though, that sometimes to me, the ones that are the least functional are the coolest ones. And that's the dumbest thing. But again, let's take a look, Shannon, like the one that you've got behind you, like that one, the Toad car, like that one is so good. And yet at the same time, you could put probably about 12 kernels of popcorn in that, and that's about it. But the ones that make the most sense, of course, there's this. Yes. So anyway,
I brought this all the way back from Paris. I have $1 little Eiffel Tower and this monstrosity from when I visited Paris. I am the worst kind of person.
Is that an East High t-shirt?
Of course it's an East High t-shirt. You know, what team? Wildcats.
Brilliant. Anyway, let's move on to Pride Month, because I feel like there was a time where Disney would not lean into Pride Month, and I think that it was like I had one of my old bosses who was like there was like a tradition where you would wear red to the park, and that way people would know you were celebrating on that particular day. And now it feels like Disney has leaned into it wholeheartedly. Like, where was this before the DeSantis situation? But we've got Star Wars merch that's Pride. We've got several different murals that are up, one at each park. So here's the one at Animal Kingdom, which I know this is on the way to Nomad Lounge. And then this one is the Purple Wall at Magic Kingdom. Here's some more of the treats that they have. This is Disney Springs, I believe. And then they've got some of the stuff that you can make on the for the phone cases. You've got some more treats here, and then today we actually put this one up, which is the one that's in Hollywood Studios. So each of them has some representation in it for a photo op, which I kind of like that one, because it makes it look. This is over where Goofy and Powerline used to be, over there right before you enter Galaxy's Edge, but it looks like you could kind of hold on to it like it was a bunch of balloons. I think that's kind of neat. But finally, I mean, again, I think that in the past they would not. I think the Universal, the whole Universal is love thing, I feel like Universal leaned into it before Disney did. But, not only is June Pride Month, but it's also Passholder Month, but it's also Black Music Month. So there's a lot of stuff going on in June, but I think they're trying to celebrate here. So, Patrick, any thoughts on any of the stuff you've seen?
I absolutely love the photo opportunities. I think they're great. I want to take like the Pride snacks and bring it to like a bigger picture thing. Why can't Disney consistently do desserts? They seem to be the simplest things to make. And constantly I read reviews on our site, and it's just like missing the mark every single time. And some of these Pride things did not have the best reviews. One of the ones I looked at that I would have been interested in is the Fanta pineapple over at Pineapple Lanai, and that seemed to get a good review, but a lot of it doesn't, and it just, man, they miss the mark so much with any seasonal treat. I remember I went to Pineapple Lanai and had like a pumpkin spice Dole Whip, and it was just horrendous. I mean, that's my fault for ordering that, but Disney, come on, these are easy things to do in terms of like baked goods. Step up your game.
So your complaint is that the food isn't good enough. But it's all very Instagrammable. Yeah. Isn't that really all that matters in 2023? That you could take a good picture of it and put it out there?
Rob, I like to eat.
I guess so. But so how many? Let me go back to that thing that we were talking about just now. This is the Pineapple Lanai thing. How many dining credits is that? Sorry,
probably one. It's probably a snack credit. Yeah, that's exactly. Not bad. Like it's probably an $8 drink, and it's a snack credit, and the snack credits are designed to average at like $6 to $7.
Okay. Allison, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I can take or leave the merch. The snacks, I wholeheartedly agree with Patrick. These seem to miss the mark, and you say they're all Instagrammable. Not all of them look that good. So some of them, like the one with the transgender flag colors of the pink and blue thing. It doesn't even like the Mickey ears on it aren't even like the right size. They're like super super small that it doesn't look right, and it's all like melty and weird looking. It doesn't hold up. But all of these, yeah, this one. See, those don't look like Mickey ears to me, right? Those are almost like the mouse ears that Karen wears in Mean Girls when she dresses up Carly. Just a little bit of a deep.
It looked like Tigger to me. Like it looks, yes. But that looks amazing. And then you read the review and it's like gross.
I think it looks a little sickeningly sweet, and I love sweet things. I eat popsicles on this show. Like it looks almost like cotton candy, like it would taste like cotton candy, which I'm not interested in. But these, go ahead.
No,
you got a question.
You finish. No, you finish.
Well, I was changing direction because the thing that I really, really love are these like amazing the walls that they're putting up which are great for photo ops and also just like beautiful art. Like that is stunning. It's like throwback and nostalgic, and also like finally Disney embracing this, because they probably should have done this like 25 years ago when K-Day started, instead of being like, I don't know, they're just coming here, we don't sanction this, and now they're finally like, okay, let's celebrate Jeffrey.
I know, they just show up.
Wow. Okay, so basically what I was going to no. Again, I mean, obviously they put themselves in a situation because they didn't step up and say anything sooner about the bill in Florida, and then once they did, then it was too little too late, and then it started a fight, and so they lost everywhere on that one. So, but let me just go back to the idea of the snacks, because I love the idea that they do snacks for everything. I've talked about that before, that there are specialty treats that you can get when there's specialty merch. I mean, I'm your guy, but when there's specialty foods and things like that, I love that they celebrate different things, whether it's St. Patrick's Day or Valentine's Day or Women's Month or Black History Month, whatever they're celebrating, that there are some way for you to celebrate along with them with these treats or merch or photo ops or things like that. I love that. But let me ask you this before we move on. And Patrick, I'll ask you because you brought it up. Do you think because they do so many of these for so many different events that they're just not taking enough care in what they're making? I mean, is that the problem?
100%. 100%. Because it's always the same thing. If you're paying attention in the chat, it's wafers and mousse. Always. It's wafers and mousse. And it's a dome of some sort. Do you know how many shapes you can make food? Dome is not the only shape. Why are they so bad at this? Take your time. You have talented people who work for you. Do good. Get better treats. Like, that's great. You know what? I'm going to say something else. The Cheshire Cattail is trash. We need to replace that. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I'm all fired up.
You just said that?
I haven't been on this show in a long time. I got to say stupid things.
Woo. Man, them fighting words. All right. Well, we'll see. You know what? Let's just go share one like Lady and the Tramp style. You and me, buddy. No?
I wish we still had HR here, because this is not acceptable.
I see you, my friend. I see you. Let's move on to these Epcot updates, because I was looking this up today. I was like, how many years have we been talking about Epcot updates? I remember that when we were on the old ParksCenter, we were talking about, like, I mentioned the idea of the construction thing to Pete Carney when he was on here, because I said, why would they blow everything up all at once? It just didn't make any sense to me. Like, keep some things open, do a little construction, move it over here, do a little construction. They're like, no. Scorched earth, and then let's start from scratch. 2017 is when they announced they were doing the Remy's Ratatouille Adventure expansion. 2017. And by 2019, at D23, they announced the full Epcot renovation plan and then started demolishing stuff. And we've still, since then, had walls all over the place. So, and then they spent all this money to build this Harmonious, and then they spent a lot of money to destroy those barges, and now they've got a crane out there. And again, like, you must think that Disney World is constantly under construction if you go there. So they're putting together this new, some new stuff, probably some way to connect whatever they're going to roll out there as far as barges go. They're working on that. And then here we have some of the updates that they're updating that Communicore Hall that was going to be something bigger, and now it looks like they're basically rebuilding the Communicore they destroyed. But see, that doesn't look anywhere near ready for prime time. It looks like they kind of just started it. And then you've got the Moana Journey of Water stuff that is supposed to be happening, and the new statue. Here's the Journey of Water. We're hoping that that's supposed to open this fall, but that's a lot of construction, and I feel like it's constantly been under construction for at least 4 years. It seems like it's never going to end. I mean, and the stuff that's here doesn't look like it's going to be ready before the end of the year. So, Allison, whenever you take your next trip, I mean, I'm sure that every trip you've taken has been walls since COVID, right?
Let's talk about the time capsule of these construction walls. So Patrick and I both have daughters around the same age. My daughter was born in January of 2019.
Oh,
And her first trip was September of 2019. So she has only seen Epcot with these walls. She has never experienced like the walkthrough. She is 4.5. She's going to be 5 in 6 months. So that's half a decade of this looking like this. Like that is completely unacceptable. And these walls were never even made to like look anything but construction walls. So, and that whole walk from like the entrance of the park to essentially like World Showcase is hideous. And so this is like the only Epcot she's ever seen. And to see a child go from birth to like now all of the things she can do, and like see how much human development has happened in that time and how little development has happened with like theoretically masses of people working on a construction site for an area that doesn't even have a ride. It's like mind-blowing to me and extremely frustrating. And this is another thing where she keeps asking, when is the Moana thing opening? Like, I don't know.
Lisa in chat said, I am not going to Epcot until it's finished, so it may be a while. Oh, Lord. I mean, this is like, Shannon, this is, I know Walt said Disneyland will never be finished as long as there's new ideas, but I don't think this is what he had in mind when he was talking about his dream for Epcot.
No, and there were just not enough roll-away hedges in the world to block what they're doing here. I think Allison hit the nail on the head. There is nothing going in that space besides like a statue and some trees. There is no reason that I could wrap my head around why it would need to be in that state for so many years. We're all over it. Disney needs to get their act together and get this done.
Yeah, and you know what? I see. I don't know if he was joking, but Matthew in chat said Epcot seems to be a park that is ever changing. If it was like, again, one thing here and there, I would get that, but it's like they're just not finishing. Like that's the deal. They're just not finishing what they started. And back when they went through and plowed it all over, I was just like, why do this all at once? And the stuff at World Showcase, that's okay. This is one of the reasons I love staying at Pop, because Pop drops you off at the International Gateway, and like you were talking about, Allison, you don't have to see that when you walk in that way. You don't see all those construction walls. But Patrick, is that true that your daughter has never seen an Epcot that wasn't full of walls?
Correct. My daughter's first trip also September 2019, and has not seen Epcot without the walls, and also very, very patiently waiting for a Moana attraction of some sort. She is going to be incredibly disappointed that you just walk through it, you don't ride anything, and there's just water everywhere and not a drop to drink. What is taking that so long to build? I mean, you've already gone vertical on it, and I figured like a lot of that would be laying all the pipe for the water, and this is beyond slow. And what is really going to be left of this? There's been so many ideas and so many changes and cuts here and there. Like, what's going to be in the Communicore building? What's going on with Wonders of Life? Every now and then there's people there. It's just baffling.
Yeah, no, I don't know. And also, if you take a look at this from the monorail, this is the beautiful view you have of the water pump station, Moana Journey of the water pump. And it's like these, I mean, obviously they're going to use, maybe they'll use Shannon's rollaway hedges. I don't know, but they'll put something around here to block that out. But again, look how far from over this is. Unless that porta potty is part of the main plan, it's going to be a while before we actually see this finish. And they're saying it's fall of 2023 that this is going to be done. And to your point, Patrick, I've heard people walk by who don't know as much about it as we do, who haven't been watching this thing from day one, who will look at their kids and go, that's going to be the Moana ride. They've literally, I've heard that, and I almost want to go and pull them aside and go, honey,
Sad.
no, it's not. It's going to be a walkthrough. Now, I don't mind the walkthrough, but if it's going to be a walkthrough, you should have been able to do it a lot faster than this, and we should be able to be enjoying it already at this point, because the live action Moana may be out before this is completed.
Oh.
No, it's not really, but it could be. You never know. That could be a thing that happens. Let's move on. I know we're running a little bit late here, but I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the nighttime spectaculars out at Disneyland. So they've got Wondrous Journeys, which if you guys haven't seen Wondrous Journeys, like look at the video or something, because I loved being able to see this. But after the Fantasmic Fire, and I think we talked about this before on ParksCenter, is that when you go to Disneyland and you watch the fireworks, because the castle is so small and there's not a lot of viewing area, there are 3 places where you can see the projections. There's one in front of It's a Small World, and there's one in front of the castle, and there's one over on the Rivers of America. And so now that one has been returned after that Fantasmic Fire that happened, so that's a good thing. Also, we had this news that says, again, this is a little clickbaity, I apologize. Final 2023 performance of Wondrous Journeys announced, and I think that our announcement said Wondrous Journeys closing or something like that, and I was just like, what? Like, why would you end that? That's such a good one. But apparently it's going to end so that they can do Halloween fireworks and then Christmas fireworks and then come back in 2024 after New Year's to bring it back. So no worries, that is coming back. The other thing that happened out there is a pre-show has been added for the new movie Elemental from Pixar. So they've added a pre-show to the World of Color 1 show that debuted for the 100 years. Patrick, I'm going to go to you on this one again because you were just out there. I assume when you went out there, it was before Wondrous had come out, because I think, didn't you go end of last year?
I went literally a year ago today.
Wow.
I was on my flight. Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. I don't know. This is like, it feels like they're missing the mark so much with their nighttime spectaculars. Wondrous Journeys is really great. It's so sad what happened over there with Fantasmic. The castle is very puny, but like, I feel like the Elemental, first of all, it looks terrible. It looks like a really bad movie. And the push for it has not been good. I don't see, if people are already coming to a Disney park, man, they're probably going to see this movie. I don't know why we're hyping it up. Maybe they're trying to get something, but I'm not interested in that in the least. Out of anything to get a special thing in front of World of Color, I mean, Little Mermaid, like, there's water. I mean, I guess there's water in Elemental too.
Yeah, there is water. You need to
it's a big part of it.
Figure that out. Allison, you've probably been a minute since you've been out to Disneyland. Are you looking forward to seeing any of these nighttime shows, or have you watched videos?
Oh, yeah. No, I did watch the videos, and like, they're stunning, and like, Disneyland really knows how to put on a show, and it's making me want to go back out there. And it has been a minute. I think last time it was fall of 2017. So really, really like to go back.
Yeah, and Shannon, when you were out there this time, please tell me you went to see Wondrous Journeys, right?
Of course, but what I did not realize is that they only do fireworks on the weekends. So
womp womp.
That really detracted from the show. But then I loved the music. Unfortunately, I was standing a little too far back. I was standing by the flagpole, so I didn't really get to see a whole lot of the projections. But the music kind of takes the cake for me, so love it.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we ended that one right about on time. Let's talk about Magic Happens, because again, you were just out there, Shannon. You did see Magic Happens, and then you kind of rubbed it in my face that I haven't seen Magic Happens. But the conversation about Magic Happens that I would like to have, and I don't mean to beat up on this, because again, I hear it is amazing, is that the audio system crashed during the Magic Happens parade, which I don't think I've heard of this happening anywhere before. You can see like the lighting rigs, there are speaker rigs that are up, and some of the sound comes out of the actual floats. But in this particular case, the audio went down, and apparently their quick resolution was to turn up the volume and blow people away with the floats, as opposed to just leaving it as it was, because and it's kind of cool. Like, if you watch the Main Street Electrical Parade when it was there, you'd hear the music, and before the floats came, and then when the floats would come, you'd get that vibe too, so you could be a part of it while it was all happening. That I think is, things happen, like tragic happens, right? Things go wrong from time to time, and I understand that. But this one seems cursed because they had the float that got stuck during the day, and then they had to like offload the cast and then like surround it to make sure that nothing happened until they could pull it out of there. Merlin, who is apparently a showstopper, lost his shoe on one of them. People were upset that Moana was doing a hula apparently, and that was a problem. And then also, this was one of the last things to come back. It didn't come back until March, and when it did, because of weather, it was like delayed another like couple weeks. So Patrick, it wasn't going on when you were out there, I know, but it just feels like one of those things where it's like, this seems to me to be the parade that I've heard the most problems with in the history of Disney parades.
It feels like it just shouldn't be, and it's a really good parade. I've watched the videos. It's a great show. Ron once said that his daughter watched the video more times than actually Magic Happen has run successfully. He might be right. It'd be great if there was a nighttime parade somewhere we could also talk about. Though.
Interesting.
Like a nighttime
Sure.
parade in Walt Disney World. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna pivot. Disneyland has enough. We're gonna talk about Oogie Boogie Bash and how amazing it is in a minute. They have enough. They could have a parade that doesn't work. We don't have a nighttime parade. Now I'm sad.
Yep. So Shannon, was this parade worth it? I mean, was it amazing?
I thought it was good. I don't know if this is a Disneyland thing or if I'm just not as observant in Disney World. I felt like the floats took forever. There was a huge gap between every single float, which made the whole parade feel like it dragged on. Like, I'm ready to see the next float, but it's 30 yards away. But I thought it was really good. I love the music. I love the IPs in it, new and old. So I'd like to see it stick around.
Yeah, I mean, we also had a story that two of the floats returned to the Walt Disney World parade this week, so that's fun. Festival of Fantasy has sort of had some problems because of breathing fire dragons whose heads come off and things like that, I guess. But this one just seems to be a lot of different issues. When you go to the parks, Allison, do you spend a lot of time waiting for the parade, or is that one of those things where you go, everyone's at the parade, let me get on Space Mountain?
Yeah, I am 100% riding rides usually during parades, and I mean, I loved when Spectrum Magic existed and you could catch glimpses of it from Splash Mountain or Big Thunder, but generally I don't sit and wait for parades. But this is one I would actually like to see, and unrelated to like that particular topic. But if you have not watched the TikTok video of Moana trying to do this weird hip hop invented hula, you should, because it's like the most awkward thing in the world, and these people that are criticizing it are 100% right.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll take that. So Patrick, you mentioned it, Oogie Boogie Bash. I am a huge fan. I've been to it, I think, twice, maybe 3 times. I've been 3 times. I went twice in the same trip. I love this, and I've said this before, and I hope that now they don't mess it up. I mean, this is the one that I think is the only hard-ticketed event to me that is like the one that I would just praise all over the place. Now, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party is still a lot of fun. I like that one, and then we've already seen that they're getting ready for that by testing at Epcot the Jack and Sally, because what better to do in June than bring out the King of Halloween? But the Pumpkin King has got to like practice first, and they do this over by World Showplace. If you haven't seen it before, sometimes if you hang around that area, they do test characters and let them kind of practice their shtick before the big event, which I love that they do that. But Oogie Boogie Bash is by far, to me, the best hard-ticketed event that's out there, and they bring in all these characters, these villains that you don't usually see anywhere else. They've announced all of the dates for this, including the price, which I think the price has gone up. I mean, at least it looks like it, because a hard-ticketed event for $189 seems like, oh my lord. But the villains trail that they do out there is amazing. The characters they do, I can't wait to hear if they launch new villains. When they did Sid, I was like, what are you talking about? Sid from Toy Story is going to be like a character in the park. He's totally my favorite. They did Agatha from WandaVision. That was awesome. And you saw Ernesto de la Cruz. There's a lot of cool stuff that happens at this. Patrick, will you go with me? to Oogie Boogie?
Sure. Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Is that
Yeah, definitely.
that's any other thoughts?
I think they're doing the right thing with Oogie Boogie. They're increasing the nights, it seems. I'm pretty sure. It seems like there's more nights, and they all sell out quick, so it's a great show. If you're able to go, please go and tell me all about it.
No, I thought you and I were going.
Sure, Rob. Yeah.
Well, tickets go on sale June 28th, I believe. So make sure to set your calendars for that, because last year they sold out very, very quickly. The other cool thing is that I think they do Halloween great out there, because some of the things are all season long, like the fireworks over at Disneyland, and the Monsters After Dark, and the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay on the Haunted Mansion. Allison, have you ever been there during Halloween?
Actually, yes, that's when I got to go, was during Halloween. So I've seen some things, but I didn't get to go to Oogie Boogie Bash, and that's sort of a bucket list item. So can I come with you guys?
I don't know. That's really up to Patrick at this point. So, I mean, you can, whatever you want to do.
Shannon, you coming?
Yeah, Shannon, you
Yeah.
In? All right, great.
Okay.
It's all on Rob. Woo! I heart Rob.
Well, I mean, I'll pay for this and not the private jet, if that's cool.
Okay.
So let's move on to this, because and I don't know if this is weird or not, but I wanted to talk about this because I think this is kind of amazing. There was a story earlier in the year. This was back in early May, where we talked about on the site that they had this vacation package at Tokyo where kids could pretend to be custodians in the park. And they would throw stuff on the ground and let them sweep it up as part of a vacation package and give them outfits and the whole deal. I feel like this would not go over well in America, but for some reason they love this. And then on top of that, now that there's a photo op coming, as if you and members of your family created the artwork that they do. Which I love seeing this, the attention that the custodians do with either these, like the water Mickeys, and if they just stop and start making one, it's just amazing to watch. Such a cool little bit of magic that happens. But sometimes they'll take like leaves and put them in the shape. I mean, that kind of stuff is neat. But Allison, are you booking your daughter one of these trips to go clean up stuff in Tokyo, or?
I love this so much. And we were going to maybe go to Tokyo in December, but I think it's going to be next year. But she would love this. The highlight of our last Disney trip for her was helping housekeeping in our room, which then like charmed the woman from housekeeping. And she brought like 40 gifts from my daughter for helping her, like just bags and bags of stuff. It was like the most magical thing ever at Disney. So this is right up our alley. And I also think like this is really great. Let's like make people really appreciate cast members who are already underappreciated. And this is the tier of cast members that's like the most underappreciated. And so I love that Tokyo cares.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly, but I feel like you could probably play this game at home and actually also accomplish some extra work around the house, maybe. My mom always used to tell me, if you're bored, I'll give you something to do. You can clean a bathroom. And all of a sudden, I was not bored anymore when that would happen. But yeah, I think that this feels like a game that you guys could play at home. Patrick, I mean, you may already play this game at home. I don't know. Is this something you guys do? Are you excited about this?
No, I like the photo pass. The photo pass is really cool. I wish they would do that here. I think that would be a really great thing. I don't know the cultural differences, but the last thing I want to do on vacation is clean, and to make it part of my vacation is a bit odd to me, but more power to Tokyo. Their parks are in much better shape than ours, so who am I to judge?
Yeah. How would you feel about being locked up in a building for 2 nights and 3 days for $5,000?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if I would have appreciated the Star Cruiser if I did it. I really don't. I would have been concerned about the cost, and I probably wouldn't like being confined.
Yeah, I understand that. Shannon, final thoughts on this one?
Am I the only one who's going to say this is very bizarre? I mean, it's the most...
Clearly.
It is. It is the most Tokyo Disneyland thing I've ever seen. I mean, it's funny, and I guess I still have respect for their culture, but I'm not standing there for a photo pass with a broom.
Again, one of the 3 people that I've said bougie. She's like, where's the one?
It's not about being bougie, though. I'm not above. Here's the thing I love and respect about Walt Disney World. One of the best things I do love about it is that the park is so clean. I would eat something that falls on the floor at Disney World because it is so clean. The pavement is pristine. So I have so much respect for custodial
for
employees
sure.
And I am not above cleaning. I just think the whole thing is really funny and bizarre.
So if you ever see Shannon in the park and she's eating something off the ground, you know that she's already established that it's because she respects how clean the park is. So that's great. Would you also eat stuff off the ground at Universal? We could talk about that in post-show. Never mind. So let's move on to our last topic of the night, which is new food items. So there are some new food items that are out there, including this Mike Wazowski cake, which looks adorable on the outside. And this, Patrick, might be to go back to what you were talking about before, because when you pop this sucker open, that's gross. I feel like I don't know.
Why are you cracking
gosh.
open Mike Wazowski's head to eat it?
I mean, you
that
got to
yolk?
get in.
That's traumatizing.
I mean, it looks legitimately like a head wound, doesn't it? I mean, it looks like, yeah, that's kind of rough. I don't know.
It's a poached egg.
Yeah, and then but I also, it doesn't look quite like what they advertised ahead of time. Same thing with this this Sully slushy, because when you get to that one, it looks like this, which is a completely different cup than this one right here. But I also want to talk about this.
That's cute.
Because I saw this and I was like, oh, that's just the worst looking hot dog I've ever seen. And the joke is that it's not a hot dog. It's an eclair with some cookie French fries and some jelly. And so, I mean, you said that looks cute, Shannon. Would you buy that?
The slushy I would, not the Mike Wazowski. I don't know what's going on there. Looks like
No, I meant the hot dog, the $6.79 hot dog eclair.
No. But I think it's gimmicky and cute for someone who wants to spend the money on it.
Well, and here's the other thing that's happening is this week is it's Churro Day coming to Disneyland. It's Churro Day. And the funny part about this is I was just looking at restaurants at Disneyland and I did a search, and if you do it in the app and you go down, there's like 12 listed under restaurants. Churros near Fantasyland, churros near here, churros near, like all the way down. And it's because I think, Patrick, that Disneyland feels like it's the churro capital. Because I feel like they're so much better there. I feel like they're kind of, I'm going to say trash garbage at Disney World. But I feel like at Disneyland that's really more of what they do best. And did you get one when you went out there?
I don't remember.
Then you didn't get one. No, you didn't get one if you don't remember.
I feel like I did. I feel like I got one in Cars Land. Can I get a churro in Cars Land? That feels like where I got it. By the way, like National Churro Day, what an amazing thing. And I love this idea, churros. I'm not eating Mike Wazowski's leaky brains. I'm not eating that poor excuse for an eclair, but I will eat every single churro on National Churro Day.
Okay, that's fair. Allison, churro thoughts?
Yeah. I'm sad about Mike Wazowski's head because my daughter's going to see that and want it, and then I have to get it, and then it's going to get all over the place, and then I'm going to need wipes, and it's going to be awful. And that's why I really I hate these new things that they advertise and then put on a board, and then I have to buy it, and it's ugh. I've heard amazing things about the churros in Disneyland. I can take or leave churros generally. I don't understand why there needs to be so many different kinds, but I think there are aficionados out there, so I will leave it to them.
Yeah, and here, this is what I was talking about. I'm looking at it down here. Goofy Sky School churro cart, Hollywoodland churro cart, the Terran Treats, the Cozy Cone Motel. So they do. I thought they were just bites that they had there, but apparently they also do them there. But this one right here, the spicy chili cheese churro dusted with crushed spicy cheese chips and chili lime sugar dressed with nacho cheese. Oh my God, what the heck is actually going on there? Patrick, would you eat that one?
I mean, that's just where we're at trend-wise with food right now. Everything got to be covered in flaming hot Cheetos or something. I mean, a churro does not need to be sweet. It could be savory. It's just the dough and the way it's made, although it's traditionally with the cinnamon. So, I mean, I would eat that. That sounds not great, but I guess to each their own.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for being with us. Sorry we ran over because I told Allison and Shannon we wouldn't, and then we did. So I apologize for that. But thank you guys who are watching with us on a Sunday night and every Sunday night, except for next Sunday night. We will not be doing a show, but we will be back the Sunday after that. And so you can partake of any of the recent Park Centers we've had. Last week, Shannon sat with us and we did a rundown of every roller coaster at Disney World and ranked them, and she and I disagreed on several, except for the first one and the last one. We all agreed on that one, so go watch that. And then same thing with the week before that, we did one, and I talked about, I think, the best shows that we, past, present, and future. So go back, watch some of those Park Centers, and enjoy that. And then we'll see you back here in 2 weeks with another Park Center. Allison, thank you so much for coming back to Park Center. I hope you'll come back again. And now you've got a super chat for some popsicles. So
yeah, but I have to come back.
And then Patrick, I'm glad you're feeling better, buddy. And we'll do Ferdinand on Wednesday. It'll be great. And a special thank you to our WIGS members. We love our WIGS, the WDWNT Inner Globe Society. We think of you guys as family, and we appreciate everything that you guys do, showing up for the shows, talking in chat, hitting us up in the Discord, all the things you do. And as part of the perks for that, we have a post show right after this, and so hopefully we'll be able to do the post show so that everybody can go to bed in a timely manner, as opposed to some other shows where that usually hits around 1 a.m. So thank you guys so much for that. Don't forget to join us for Deep in the Plus. And then, again, we appreciate you guys coming back each and every time to Park Center. Thank you for being here, and we will see you soon. Have a good one. Get it. Yes. Perfect. That's exactly what we were hoping for. Yeah, that was a good one.